What's up, co-reporters, and welcome back to my channel. It looks like Teen Mom Next Chapter star Devon Austin has not been paying his bills, according to the U.S. Sun. So they're saying that Devon, he missed his rent payment for May 1st, and his rent payment, if you guys are curious about that, is $1,683, okay? And since missing that payment and incurring more fees and legal woes, his landlord has decided to just go ahead and evict him. And the landlord filed documents that were obtained by the U.S. Sun, and the documents confirm that Devon was issued a complaint by the apartment management company on May 23rd. These people act very, very quickly because it's not uncommon for a tenant to be behind on rent, or to have something where they go, oh, hey, can I pay you a little bit later or this or that? And then you kind of work with them. But maybe this was like a big something that had been happening for a while with him, and that's why they were not patient about it. Or maybe they're what do you call it? They've got trigger fingers because they just don't want to have people get used to paying rent or something like that, paying late or whatever. I don't know, but I'm surprised to hear he misses one thing. He's late for 1 month and he's already getting evicted. That's a lot. So the document that I'm talking about was an action to evict a tenant from the property. And Devon had a 3-day window to address his failure to pay his rent on the first of the month and did not respond to that whatsoever. And by the time that he got the notice telling him that they were going to evict him, the amount of money that he owed for rent and then interest and late fees and all of that was $2,203. And then by June, and I've got to say, as an Ontarian, it's insane to me that all of this can happen so quickly in Florida. The landlord tenant board in Ontario is so far behind. So if you have a tenant who's not paying you rent, they can just go ahead and live for free squatting in your place, not paying rent for even 8 months, 9 months before you can get an order to evict them. So for the fact that the landlord was able to evict Devon this quickly is really, really shocking to me, I do have to say. So in June of this year, Devon was handed another notice, okay, you guys, and this was the notice of forcible entry and detainer. And I believe that is when the tenant is refusing to leave the property that they're not paying for. And so at that point, they're kind of trespassing because they're no longer there with the tenant's permission. And I think this is where you can get the sheriff involved to help kind of throw them out and whatnot. Whew. And mind you, Devon was taxed another $200 for his refusal to move out of the property, you guys. And I'm just really stunned by that. This is all moving really quickly. I gotta say, I wonder why he was kicked out so quickly, because in this article, they're saying that he only neglected to pay in May. So, but they're not giving any details about if he mentions why he's not able to pay. We know that Devon has a gambling problem, but we also know that he makes money on the show. So would he have said, hey, I need to wait for my check for a new season or this or that, or I'm going to try to do an Instagram sponsorship or whatever it might be. It seemed like all of this happened very quickly. They just, as soon as he missed that thing, they went immediately to evicting him, which I feel is a little extreme, to be honest with you guys. From a landlord perspective, I typically work with people okay, no problem. Let me know what the problem is, what kind of timeline you're looking at. And then they eventually pay, right? I've never had someone just refuse to pay and then just squat. But honestly, that's really, really shocking to me. I'm really floored. And again, I'm floored by how quickly all of this can happen in Florida. Where I'm from, that's going to take you a long ass time. Listen, with Devon being on TV, broadcasting his gambling addiction, and then what appears to be an alcohol addiction or dependency at the very least as well, maybe that's why they were not really all that trusting of him, and that's why they moved straight to an eviction, right? God bless him. Maybe that's going to be his storyline on the next season of the show, that he's trying to move in with Brianna, her sister, and her mom in the townhouse. Oh, and don't forget, she got 2 kids as well. Can they fit a grown man who just refuses to pay his bills because he's gambling all his money away? Can they fit him into the townhouse? We'll find out on the next season of Teen Mom Next Chapter, apparently. It's very disappointing to see this guy just kind of fail through life and just like go through life so sluggishly, so uninterested. What happened to him talking about launching like a food truck or something? I remember when Kale Lowry interviewed him and he talked about how he wanted to launch a food truck and like, really be into like being a chef and whatnot. And Kale was launching an influencer or a podcasting agency or the two of them at the time. And she had mentioned wanting to like, help him get brand deals and whatnot so he can live off of like, his social media presence, his Instagram presence. What happened to all that? Why is this guy not hustling? He's got a good following from Teen Mom. So he can turn that following into like, a brand, a food truck or something. How many times do you see completely unknown people pop up and build huge businesses on social media? I've seen it with a guy who like he does like this kind of like fruit roll up type of technique or whatever with like ice cream, and now he has his own ice cream shop. There are people who do cookies. There's this girl in Australia, she just was baking cookies or whatever on TikTok, and now she's got like a full-blown bakery that's constantly selling out. Like, and this guy had a built-in audience. Why could he not have turned that into something profitable? Like, what is happening? I would like to see him perhaps try another stint at rehab, because it's very clear that he is still not he hasn't gotten himself to where he needs to be, and I don't really see him having that much support in his home life or anything like that. So it's looking like he might need another trip to rehab to really try again to free himself of these demons of addiction that are plaguing his life. I'm disappointed and I'm sad to see that this is what it has all come down to. He really had me fooled for a bit, with the down and out act, like, oh, with just a chance I could make it work and I could really change my life. But he's gotten chance after chance after chance. Nothing really has changed so far with him. He doesn't seem to be an ambitious person. I don't see, and I mentioned this in my recap of last week's episode of Teen Mom Next Chapter, but I don't see a twinkle in his eyes. There's no spark, there's no flame, there's no fire. So I think he's just going to constantly be kind of, what's the word? Like, I don't want to say grifting, but just like coasting through life based on people like, trying to help him out, this, that, or the other. But he will never, in my opinion, from what he's shown us so far, he's never going to try to help himself out, it seems. And I find that to be extremely disappointing, because at the end of the day, he is a dad, right? He's got this wonderful, beautiful, talented daughter that needs him in her life, right? That needs him to step up. And it's just not looking like that is something that he is capable of doing. And that breaks my heart for him, but more importantly, for her as well. Guys, how do you feel about this news of Devon being evicted from his apartment? Are you like me, kind of shocked that it happened so quickly? Like, this one payment, boom, a week later we're sending you eviction papers? Or is that the way it normally works? Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments, wherever you're at, by the way, because everywhere is different, in the comment section down below. And as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.